Hi folks. We have a saying in these here United States of America, and it goes something to this effect. The lunatics are in charge of the asylum, meaning the insane asylum, okay? I know that's not politically correct, but I'm not politically correct. Well, we could transfer that saying to the Korean Peninsula. Yeah, we can do that. Not North Korea, South Korea. The lunatics are in charge of the asylum. Now understand this, I'm not saying all South Koreans are lunatics, but in South Korea you have a lunatic group. Just like here in the United States. We have lunatics in the United States, we call them Democrats. I don't know what you call your lunatics in South Korea, but you have lunatics. And those lunatics elected a chief lunatic. This thing here is the lunatic in charge. The president of South Korea, President Park. Now why am I saying she's a lunatic? Because she's obsessed. She has two obsessions. One is to cover up the perceived crimes of her father, who served in the Japanese Imperial Army with distinction as an officer. That was him, as a distinguished officer. So she needs to cover that up, and she needs to nourish the hate that exists in South Korea towards Japan to deflect from her father. She has another obsession, Prime Minister Abe of Japan. She does not like this man, she does not like that nation, she does not like those people in Japan. Very simple. Every opportunity she gets, she berates that Prime Minister and the people of Japan. What she has done recently, this lunatic in charge, she recently hired a public relations firm in Washington, D.C. to degrade the Prime Minister of Japan. Here's what's happening. The Prime Minister of Japan was invited by the United States Congress to address the United States Congress at joint session. Now the Prime Minister of Japan, the United States Congress, in that equation there's only two countries involved. But apparently the lunatic in charge is inserting South Korea into that equation. She must think that Japan and South Korea are one nation just because they share the Sea of Japan. South Korea on one side of the Sea of Japan, and Japan being on the other side of the Sea of Japan. Does that mean the United States and Mexico is one nation because we share the Gulf of Mexico? I do not think so. She hired this public relations firm to precede Prime Minister Abe's visit to the United States to make sure the people in Congress understand about Japan's supposed war crimes during and before the Second World War. You need to atone for your sins, you need to apologize. You committed all these crimes against the people of South Korea. And so that's what the lunatic wants to be known among the members of Congress, thus hiring that public relations firm. Now why is she a lunatic for doing that? Gee, you ask such good questions. She plays patty fingers continually with the dictator of China. She's always buddying up to this guy. How come she's not obsessed with the crimes committed by China on the Korean Peninsula during the Korean War? How come she's not obsessed with this dictator's country being responsible for the Korean Peninsula divided during and after the Korean War? How come she's not obsessed with the fact that currently families are divided on the Korean Peninsula because of Communist China's insertion into the Korean War? She never brings that up to the Chinese dictator or hires a public relations firm. No, she only goes after Japan, the Japanese, and Prime Minister Abe. She's a lunatic, she's obsessed. Now, what did I just have to do here? What happened here? Well, first of all, by identifying a lunatic as the lunatic, I'm in violation of the South Korean Constitution. Article 21, Clause 4. That's me! I violated that, kids. But at the same time as I violated Article 21 of the South Korean Constitution, the same article number in the Japanese Constitution, Article 21, I was in compliance, freedom of speech. But putting aside the Japanese Constitution, the South Korea Constitution, I'm in compliance with the American Constitution, the United States of America, the First Amendment to our Constitution, guaranteeing my freedom of speech, which transposes to freedom of expression. So when I call a lunatic, I'm protected by my free speech. Here in the United States, free speech in Japan, we're gulligy walkers. in that masquerade of a democracy in South Korea, I'd be in a heap of trouble, partners. We'll see you. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the nation you happen to be. And God bless our good friends and trusted allies in the land of the rising sun, Nihon Koku, Japan. And yes, dear God, please be with this normal, civilized people in South Korea who recognize the fact that there's a lunatic in charge. Hopefully, come the next election, they'd be able to move her out and put somebody in charge who is not a lunatic. We'll see you.